Before we get any further, this video contains spoilers for The Bad Batch Season 2, Episodes 1 and 2 that just aired on January 4th, 2023. Happy New Year, by the way. If you haven't seen them yet, we highly recommend you head on over to Disney Plus and watch them before continuing with the video. If you're all caught up or just don't care, let's dive right into it.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
The Clone Troopers, a staple in the Grand Army of the Republic during the Clone Wars, were perhaps one of the most elite armies ever put together in the galaxy. They were highly skilled, highly trained, and bred to the Kaminoans' tall standards of perfection. When the Galactic Empire rose to power, the Republic's Clone Troopers transitioned into the Stormtrooper Corps and became loyal soldiers of the Empire, as we can see in the two first episodes of The Bad Batch Season 2. However, despite the clones' efficiency, Emperor Palpatine began phasing the clones out of his Stormtrooper Corps shortly after the Galactic Empire rose to power, until there were no clones left in the Imperial Army. In today's video, we'll be discussing why clones made for excellent Republic soldiers, but terrible Imperial ones that had to be removed for the Empire to maintain its iron hold on the galaxy. As we've discussed in the past, when the Kaminoans genetically modified Jango Fett's DNA to engineer the perfect clone trooper, they had several things in mind. Clones were designed to find creative solutions to their problems, to adapt to their environments, and to work well as a cohesive unit. This sense of fraternity with their fellow clones made them extremely efficient. Bonding with one another was quite literally coded into their DNA, and this bond between members of a unit made them work flawlessly together. But that wasn't the only thing the Kaminoans aimed for. Although they boasted to their prospective clients that their clone projects were far superior to droid armies, the truth was that they designed clones to behave as closely to droids as they could without the actual limitations of a droid brain. Yes, they valued creativity and adaptability, but only to the degree that it served their missions. Clones were expected to be flexible in their battle planning, but inflexible everywhere else. The Kaminoans systematically weeded out and disposed of any clone that showed signs of individuality, personality, or what they considered to be insubordination. Any so-called faulty clones were killed, and the rest quickly learned to toe the line and keep their heads down to avoid their creator's culling. Good soldiers follow orders. A line echoed over many years, from Tup in the Clone Wars to Crosshair in Season 1. It perfectly encapsulates what the clones were designed to do: obey. Clone morality was rigid to begin with, but it became even more so after the events of Order 66, when the inhibitor chips wiped away the individuality they had managed to develop during the Clone Wars, out in the field with Jedi who supported them discovering themselves. The Republic made this all work quite well, but for the Empire, it was directly interfering with its operations. In our final review of Andor, we discussed how the series did a fantastic job of setting the tone for the Empire's real character. Not on the battlefield gunning down rebel armies, not aboard the Death Star housing planet-ending lasers, but on the ground, among the everyday people of the Empire. The real Empire was a tyrannical state led by one man at the head of a corrupt Senate. It didn't strive to improve its citizens' lives, but instead did everything it could to keep them oppressed while it scoured the galaxy for the last remaining resources after the brutality of the Clone Wars, so the elite few could fill their pockets. Although the Republic was flawed in many ways, its corruption was usually isolated at the top echelons of society. In the Empire, however, the corruption didn't stop at the Senate. It spread its roots deep into the heart of the Empire, all the way down to the lowest ranks in the military and the planetary defense forces. You see, in a tyrannical empire, things like honesty and integrity aren't what make you succeed. Corruption begets corruption. What makes someone reach for power and hold on to it in a corrupt society is the willingness to bend the rules, to steal, to pursue one's own interests above society's. People who willingly served in the Empire's army weren't there to serve their galaxy, like many of the Republic generals, but because they saw it as a means to furthering their own goals. The Empire stayed in power by oppressing and brutalizing its people, and to do that, it relied on its corrupt, morally bankrupt officers to do the Empire's dirty work off the record. More than that, the chaos caused by individuals using the Empire's resources for their own gain kept the populace in check. It's hard to rebel when you know your local planetary defense leader would happily slaughter you if you stepped out of line. In that context, clone troopers were the Empire's worst possible option for ground troops. In one aspect, the clones still humanized each other far too much. In just the first 2 episodes of Season 2, we see the clone captain, whom his soldiers fondly continue to call by his nickname Wilco, isn't just a cold-hearted leader throwing his men at the intruders like cannon fodder. We've seen him stop to check on his injured men, much like clone commanders did in the Clone Wars, back when they still had some free will. Even the members of the Bad Batch themselves still see the humanity within the clone-turned-stormtroopers, as seen by their continued use of stun bolts even after their mission was compromised. These clones aren't evil. They're just good soldiers following orders, even if those orders are being issued by a corrupt government, and the Bad Batch knows that. But their humanity wasn't the real problem when it came to the clones. Their inflexibility, which had served the Republic so well, was their downfall in the Empire. As we mentioned above, they were specifically designed to serve the regime by following its rules to the T. They followed orders, kept to the plan, and obeyed military protocol at all costs, which is precisely what you don't want when you're trying to cheat the system for your own gain as an officer. Due to their devotion to protocol, clones were incredibly ill-suited to serving corruption. If a commanding officer gave them an order that went against the rules, clones would just refuse. We see this in the final scene of episode 2 when Captain Wilco is ordered to falsify his official report to leave the intruders unnamed, as revealing their identities as the rogue Clone Force 99 would have looked bad for the Imperial officer who declared them dead. For his refusal to bend the rules, he gets executed. This wasn't a problem isolated to Sereno, however. All over the galaxy, clones were showing more integrity than the entire Imperial military. That was why they had to go. In Season 1 of The Bad Batch, we saw the launch of Project War-Mantle, an initiative spearheaded by Vice Admiral Rampart and supported by Governor Tarkin. This project saw the first non-clone troopers being trained for the Empire's Stormtrooper Corps in a secret facility on the planet Daro. Although they were trained by clones, such as Captain Gregor, these were all willing recruits that wanted to become Imperial troopers. When the project proved it would be a success, the Imperial Army terminated their contracts with Kamino and destroyed the cloning facilities, which we saw at the end of Season 1. The surviving clones continued to serve in the Imperial ranks, but their days were numbered. With more and more recruits being trained, clones were gradually phased out of the Stormtrooper Corps. By 16 BBY, most clones had been rotated out of their positions, both due to their rapid aging and because, as we mentioned above, they just didn't fit the Empire's needs. Natural-born conscripts and recruits replaced them, giving birth to the Stormtroopers we saw in the original trilogy we all know and love. Good soldiers follow orders, but that made them too good for the likes of the Empire. Were you surprised to see the clones in the first 2 episodes behaving almost exactly like they did during the Clone Wars? Despite the slow start, we're excited to see what the rest of this season brings. What are you hoping to see in the coming weeks? What did you think of the first 2 episodes? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below, and as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.